The launch of the DCU has been an interesting one to say the least. From an original slate of movies and TV shows that have either all almost been renamed or canned entirely, a list that included titles such as The Authority, a Waller TV show, Booster Gold, Swamp Thing, and several others. Notably, the original slate had no mention of a second season of Peacemaker nor a Clayface movie. Superman kicked off the cinematic part of this new universe last year, and despite a severe lack of coherent plot, minuscule character development, and a theme that wasn't supported in any way through the movie, I'd say your normal audience member received the film relatively well. The box office, while for a lot of movies would be a success, $600 million for what is your second biggest character and the launch of your new universe definitely is not what WB and DC would have hoped for. If you were rather generous with the box office math, the nicest thing you can say for Superman is that it lost a little bit of money, or at best profited enough to order a few large pizzas from Domino's. Now, the family-friendly movie Superman was all about hope and kindness or whatever, and it was followed up by the R-rated cynical disaster of writing that was Peacemaker Season 2. The idea that the next cinematic entry of the already sputtering DCU was going to be Supergirl always seemed insane. The only decision more absurd would have been to have your second movie be The Authority. Regardless of how well made or written Supergirl would have been, there was always a cap on how well the movie would perform. Supergirl, at the end of the day, is a derivative character of the far more popular Superman, no matter how different of a character she might be. The box office performance would have always been a fraction of what Superman achieved. Supergirl is a film to make after the groundwork of her universe has been established, kind of like an Ant-Man or Guardians of the Galaxy, to use a Marvel example. So the film was a terrible idea to begin with, then a marketing campaign that never really sparked any excitement. Seemingly every trailer just made Supergirl seem like an annoying drunk a-hole, which, spoiler, is because she kind of is. But we also already knew that from her brief appearance in Superman.
Thanks for watching him, bitch!
Not to mention that every trailer and clip seemingly had some kind of insult to Superman, whether it be Crypto pissing on him, a line that they were very proud of, insinuating Superman is too childish and naive.
He sees the good in everyone, and I see the truth.
Or the original slogan of this movie being truth, justice, and whatever. The one thing most normie fans consistently liked about Superman was that he was nice and kind, and it's also the only movie you've made, and now your new movie is just constantly insulting that film and character. Also, if you get the bonus points for putting the trunks on Superman's costume originally, in my opinion, you lose those bonus points when you immediately make fun of that in your follow-up film. That's almost as ridiculous as claiming a color is too stupid to put in your title.
It's called lanterns because we all agreed that the green was stupid. So,
right.
So now it's just lanterns.
So what?
Then, on top of that, the lead actress of the movie, whose casting I originally quite liked and still don't mind, committed the cardinal sin of actors and actresses everywhere, attacking your potential audience and making identity politics statements on the red carpet. Like or agree with what she says or not, the purpose of a studio making a movie is to make money, and pissing off the right people is gonna mean those right people aren't gonna give your movie even a chance. Problems like these are easy to avoid. You just have to do the Tom Cruise approach and say that this movie is for all kinds of fans, or the clip going around of Matt Smith that shows you exactly how to handle these kinds of questions.
Oh, absolutely. It's all about the fans. You know, that's why we're here. That's why we go and work and leave them for 8 months a year. It's, you know, it's never going to appeal to everyone. Everyone has their own opinion, particularly on George's work. But for me personally, it's their show. You know, we make it, we do all that work, and then we hand it over. And
all of that is build-up and outside noise, however, to the objective question of whether or not the movie was good. Now, before we get into that, it's worth noting, as usual, that this is entertainment at the end of the day. If you sat down and watched the movie and found yourself having a good time for 2 hours, that's great. I'm really happy you enjoyed it. That out of the way, I think this movie, much like its cinematic predecessor, has awful character development, terrible dialogue, massively contrived plot elements, and a theme that has no backing by the story in it. Not to mention, I find the two main characters extremely annoying, and in Kara's case, very unlikable. In Superman, James Gunn provided us with the perfect hashtag to describe this movie. Supergirl is
Hashtag super shit.
Now, while technically this movie is not written or directed by him, this film absolutely reeks of the pitfalls of James Gunn. The opening of this movie is a montage featuring opening credits and a pop song. Kara, we learn, likes getting drunk and thinks Superman's a joke. In order to get drunk, she has to be on planets that have a red sun. There are 3 kinds of sun in this movie, and they all have some form of relevance. Now, the red sun is supposed to mean she doesn't have her powers. Yellow sun, like Earth, gives her and Superman, for that matter, their superpowers and restores them and all that. Green sun seemingly acts like kryptonite and gives her the kryptonite poisoning that we did see in Superman. Following this, we get the inciting incident of the movie. The brigands, led by Krim, land outside of a farmhouse. What precedes is a ripoff of Rogue One. We see Ruthie, her mother, her father, who makes swords, and her brother. Krim wants swords from her father, then Krim kills her brother. Her father launches a magnetic bomb from their yard that blows up Krim's ship. Krim then kills her father and mother, yet leaves Ruthie alive. Already some problems here, and we're just now starting the movie. 1. Why didn't he just blow up Krim's ship immediately upon arrival? In the few moments they have, why not warn their children not to make any sudden moves or noises? Then, looking ahead, we will learn that A. Krim has no problem executing children of people he believes betrayed him, and also collects and sells young girls to be child brides. Why in the world does Krim just let Ruthie live? Why doesn't he capture her? It's not like she even bothers trying to hide or run. This 13-year-old girl, Ruthie, then drags the bodies of her older brother, mother, and father way out of their house and buries them. Now, to my understanding, Ruthie has literally no superpowers, but there are a few moments she does something that can basically only happen if she has super strength or something like that, because she's extremely powerful for a 13-year-old girl, as we'll come to see. Kara gets drunk at a bar while wearing a t-shirt, jeans, and a trench coat. I hope you like this outfit because, much like Punisher One Last Kill, this is her costume for most of the movie. Millie Alcock is actually quite pretty, but it's like the director of this movie did his best to make her as ugly as possible. Gather the family around, everybody. Let's go watch a woman with dirt on her face get drunk while she wears a dirty t-shirt, trench coat, and jeans. She's a great aspirational role model for the kids. Ruthie walks into the bar offering her father's sword as a prize if someone can help her take revenge on Krim. Then a massive alien that is at least 500 pounds if I'm being generous just walks up and steals the sword from her. He leaves and goes and hops on his mount, which I can also best describe as an alien that kind of looks like a rhino. Kara is drunk and tells Crypto she doesn't have her powers.
I don't have my powers here, right?
The planet is a red sun, so that's how she's normal, quote unquote. Kara walks out to confront the alien. She is not Supergirl based on what she's told us. She has no power. She is normal. She is a normal, drunk, 23-year-old woman. So she grabs the tusk or horn of this alien's mount, does a flip around the front, and I kid you not, kicks this thing that is minimum 500 pounds like 15 feet into the air. Again, she said she has no powers. Then she fights the creature, taking several blows that would, like, at a minimum turn her ribs into jelly, and somehow defeats it. Did I mention on this planet, she's literally just a normal drunk woman? Within this sequence, Ruthie has exposited some information that because her father destroyed his ship, Krim must still be on the planet. Now, we'll come to find out that this is essentially just a completely lucky guess. She ends up being correct, of course, but there's literally no reason she should believe he's still on the planet. Anyway, she asks Kara for her help. Kara tells her no. Kara returns to her ship. Later, Ruthie knocks on the door the next morning, asks for her help. Kara again says no, then they walk away from the ship, and at the exact moment, Krim and his goons roll up and move into Kara's ship. Crypto spots this and runs at Krim, and then ruthless pirate Krim, who's just killed Ruthie's family in cold blood, killed the first thing that jumped out at him in this house, captures young girls as child brides, sees this tiny dog running at him, and shoots it with a dart gun that slowly kills the creature over 3 days, and leaves Ruthie and Kara alone? What? Why not just kill all of them immediately? But regardless, they then steal the ship and fly away. Kara takes Crypto to a doctor who tells her Krim carries the antidote on him at all times because they use it as a torture technique. Well, those events are all certainly not insanely contrived and lucky. Imagine if instead of a dart gun, it was like a normal laser gun, or if the dosage of the poison, since it's normally used on like large humanoid beings, had killed the tiny dog. Kara then sets out to get the antidote to save Crypto. Ruthie asks to come with. Kara tells her no and to stay behind and watch Crypto. Now, if you'll remember, Ruthie had told Kara and everyone in that bar that because her father had destroyed Krim's ship, there was no way he could get off the planet. So the big problem is now that Kara's lost her ship and they're on a red sun planet, she's kind of trapped. You know, Krim would have been too if he hadn't stole the ship, and according to Ruthie, he couldn't have possibly very easily have gotten off-world. So how is Kara going to escape this planet? Well, of course, she goes to the interplanetary bus station. Wait, so Krim could have just gotten a bus ticket the whole time. Why did he steal the ship to begin? It's not like there's a security checkpoint or it's like hard to get to. Like, Ruthie very easily brings a sword onto this bus. So I don't think it would have been hard for him to just easily fly off world without stealing a ship and potentially getting caught and arrested or killed, or who knows. Kara sets a timer for 3 days. Luckily for her, turns out travel between different solar systems takes almost no time at all. As she boards the bus, Ruthie follows her. Kara is mad, but then 3 pirates trap the bus. They rob everybody, armed only with one small robot that shocks people. Kara fights them, then gets trapped in an airlock that they launch her out of, but thankfully there's a yellow sun nearby, so it gives her powers back. She captures the 3 pirates. The bus takes them to a rest stop where Kara scoops some kind of food that a worm creature's been pooping out. She walks back to the bus where these pirates are tied up, and she eats the food and says it tastes like shit. What a hilarious joke, get it? Because it is shit. This is so clever. She asks these 3 random pirates where Krim is. Obviously, that's crazy because these are just 3 random female pirates, and we're dealing with all of space here. So, of course, if they knew where the brigands would be, that would be insanely lucky and contrived. So, of course, they immediately tell Kara where Krim is. These 3 female pirates who tell him he is in a male-dominated exclusive society. So these 3 female pirates know exactly where the one guy Kara needs to find is. And they just so happen to rob the bus Kara was on. That's so convenient for her. That's incredibly lucky.
Barely an inconvenience.
And just think about what Kara's plan was. Her plan was to just hop on a bus and go somewhere. She had no idea where Krim was, and had the pirates not captured their bus and also happened to know where he is, she'd just be like flying aimlessly around. As I said, they say he's on a planet that is a male-dominated society where they sell young girls as brides to continue that society, I guess. So again, it begs the question, why did Krim not kidnap Ruthie? Because she's a young girl, and that seems to be what they try to kidnap. Kara then finds some like inflatable spacesuit that Ruthie can wear, then flies them off that planet. Now's the time we're going to have to talk about this. The inconsistency of Kara's flying speed is absurd. She can fly fast enough to travel between planets in less than a day, yet there will be countless times where she moves too slowly to do anything. Kara walks into a bar, breaks some guy's arm, then fights a bunch of people as the camera is focused on Ruthie and action happens all around her while some upbeat modern song plays. Wow. I've never seen that in a movie before, ever. After that, Lobo walks up to the bar and asks to find a certain brigand. Lobo, I'd say, is fine through most of the movie. He's pretty much just Jason Momoa, but he's got some entertainment value for sure, which is much welcome in this horrible movie. Ruthie asks Lobo for help. Lobo tells her no, then he speaks to the audience when he says, "Everybody in this room is super useless." Amen, brother. The couple who owns the bar offers to set up a meeting between Kara and someone who can lead her to the brigands. Kara tells Ruthie her backstory. We get a flashback that doubles down on the insane decision of having Jor-El and Laura being pro-rape and genocide, so that's pretty awesome. It also revealed Kara was told by her father and mother to be a good person and to help those less fortunate than her. They send her to Earth, however, where, as far as they know, Kal-El is supposed to be ruling that with an iron fist. Either way, the main takeaway here is that Kara's parents told her when she was younger to be a good person, but because everybody died, Kara chooses not to be a good person. Kara tells Ruthie that revenge is not going to do her any good and lead her where she wants to go. Kara continues to drive this point home, and it's all about how revenge can corrupt you and destroy who you are. It's definitely one of the key themes that this movie tries to make. The couple that was supposed to help them actually betrays them and give Kara poison that's supposed to paralyze her. It's the same poison that Crypto actually was injected with. I guess because of the yellow sun, she's fine, but I would assume that would mean Crypto would be fine if he moved to a yellow sun, but maybe Kryptonian dogs work a little different, so I'll give the movie the benefit of the doubt there. Basically, the scenario is this couple offered to trade Ruthie and Kara for their daughter back because of the whole child bride thing. So again, I asked the question, why didn't the brigands already kidnap Ruthie when they had the chance? Then there's a big fight once the brigands show up and Kara's not poisoned because she drinks a bunch of milk. The brigands' child brides are set free, including the kid of the couple that betrayed Kara. But because Kara is mysteriously not poisoned to Krim, he decides to kill their daughter in revenge. The girl runs away and Krim chases her. Ruthie follows Krim and sneaks up behind him to kill him in revenge. So before I explain the sequence that follows, let's remember Kara's goals at this moment. She wants to first and foremost retrieve the antidote from Krim to heal her dog. She also wants to prevent Ruthie from killing Krim because it will ruin her soul or whatever. And lastly, in this action scene, she is trying to save as many of the girls as she can. So Krim is about to kill this girl who got away. Ruthie sneaks up behind him and jumps at him to kill him. Kara is flying around nearby. The obvious thing to do is for Kara to use her insanely fast flying ability to grab Krim, because that would accomplish all 3 of her goals, because she can grab the antidote, prevent Ruthie from killing him, and save the girl. What she instead does is tackle Ruthie out of the air and through a building, slowly glide back up, allowing Krim enough time to chase the girl, kill her and her family, all of which Kara watches, And instead of using her absurdly fast flying, she just slowly hovers there while Krim escapes. Then, Kara and Ruthie argue. Ruthie calls her drunk. Kara tells her she shouldn't do revenge again. Then Kara flies up into space and does a big yell because she's all emotional, because she chose to let Krim get away with the thing that would save her dog as well as kill 3 people. Real heroic of her to make that choice, and I guess now I'm supposed to feel bad for her stupid decisions. Kara then storms back down to the planet and grabs a random alien and asks where Krim went. For the second time in this movie, Kara just assumes some alien will know where Krim is. And again, she happens to be right. Insanely lucky for her, and as we'll soon find out, lucky for Krim. This guy leads her to a planet where Krim is, and Ruthie also manages to sneak on board. But it turns out the whole thing is a trap because this planet has a green and yellow sun that splits the sun cycle, because Krim knows Kara will be killed by the green sun. It seems like we jump from this point of Krim having no idea Kara is Kryptonian or anyway, to him immediately just knowing because the poison didn't paralyze her or anything, she must be Kryptonian, because he has kryptonite arrows. He knows how the green sun affects Kryptonian people. And if he knows how her Kryptonian powers work, why would he go to a planet that has a yellow sun at all? Why not a green one or one that's red? Like, why have one that splits between the red and yellow? If the sun was just a red sun, they can easily kill her because she has no powers. And if it's all green, she just dies. This is where I'll say maybe I missed some lines, but the mechanics of how this solar stuff works sucks and isn't explained well if I didn't. So as the planet is landed on and the green sun causes Kara to collapse, she basically gets the same look as the kryptonite poisoning from Superman again. Kara is dragged to a cave by Ruthie, and we get yet another flashback, this time to when Kara first arrived on Earth. This scene makes Superman an idiot, so I'm glad they still can't take their primary character serious at all, and Kara makes fun of the trunks on his suit. Great. Ruthie brought Kara's super suit. Kara says it's just a useless suit. Ruthie says to Kara, "You aren't always nice, but you're kind, and you're not always perfect, but you're good. So thank you for taking me with you." Now this line's supposed to be the big character theme moment here. It's hilarious to me because it's supposed to be, you know, the whole explanation of Kara. But she hasn't really been nice or kind to Ruthie. In fact, she's pretty much only been kind of an asshole to Ruthie the whole movie. I mean, constantly kind of like insulting her, or not evil, but not exactly, I wouldn't describe as nice or kind. She's definitely not perfect, and saying she's good is a bit of a stretch. Now, she did help Ruthie at the beginning get her sword back, so that was good. But in all honesty, that moment basically seems like an attempted suicide because she was choosing to fight a massive alien while she was drunk and powerless. And she did save some of the girls during that big fight, but at the same time, she also actively let 3 people get murdered for basically no reason. Some real Man of Steel Zack Snyder type actions from her. And ultimately, she wasn't even going to help Ruthie and only set off after Krim because of her dog. But the last line of "thank you for taking me with you" is by far the funniest to me, because the first time Kara tried to leave Ruthie on the first planet, and Ruthie had to sneak aboard the ship. Then Kara takes her to a planet from the gas station, and then again, Kara abandons her on a child bride planet ruled entirely by men. But Ruthie has to sneak on board a transport to escape. If I didn't know any better, I'd say Kara was actively trying not to take Ruthie with her, and in fact only brought her to the planet where she would be in immense danger, then tried to abandon her there. Ruthie goes to get Kara some water, but gets captured by the brigands. It's also revealed to us that Lobo was captured. Krim tells Ruthie if he tells her where Kara is, he'll let her live. In response, Ruthie spits at him. Earlier in the movie, it was said the brigands used the poison as a torture tactic, so I'm not sure why they don't just do that or just kill her here, but whatever. The next scene, Ruthie is crying and says she'll help Krim. One of the giant brigand soldiers walks in the cage and puts some handcuffs on the 13-year-old non-superpowered having girl. Then the 13-year-old girl jumps onto the back of the grown man and begins to try to choke him out with a chain. Somehow, she manages to successfully overpower the grown man. I am not joking. I don't know why the hell they wrote that crap. What a terrible sequence of event. A 13-year-old girl just choked out a large grown man using chains that he put on her. What? She also helps Lobo and then sneaks around to grab her sword. At the same time, Kara has a flashback to Superman saying they're the good guys as the yellow sun begins to rise. Here's where I'm wondering if maybe I don't understand this whole sun stuff. The way her veins look are basically identical to how Superman looked when he was poisoned by the kryptonite. After using his powers for a bit, Superman got those veins and was so sick he couldn't even really stand on his own power, and Lois needed to help him to the ship, and Clark needed to rest for quite a while before he was able to do anything. Kara, however, as we'll soon see, is basically just good to go now that she's got some yellow sun. But again, I want to be as fair as possible to the movie and say maybe I might have just had a massive misunderstanding for the sun mechanic. Ruthie sneaks onto the deck of the ship and Krim ties her up, and then you know what he does?
He starts monologuing.
Krim grabs her sword and has the option to deliver the killing blow. He lines the sword up with her neck and does some practice swings like it's golf. Then, Kara saves her wearing her super suit. They do some fighting and Krim shoots her with a kryptonite arrow. Then the filmmakers give us a detailed look that the kryptonite literally travels into her bloodstreams and infects her blood cells. So if Superman just being near kryptonite for a prolonged amount of time poisons him, I think that literally having her bloodstream poisoned by kryptonite would probably do the same thing. So now that Krim has her dead to rights, you know what he does?
He starts monologuing.
Lobo saves her and picks up Krim and tosses him down to Ruthie because Ruthie was thrown off the ship, but she caught onto a rope. He says the kid wants revenge, and Kara says it's not that simple. There's more action. Then Kara gets healed by the sun. She decides to use her super speed that comes and goes based on when it's convenient for the plot and saves Ruthie several times. She goes and saves all the child brides and leaves Ruthie surrounded by the brigands. I guess she really does just want Ruthie to die because between leaving her on the child bride planet and just letting her be surrounded by all these guys, doesn't seem to be looking out for her that much. Kara then, after saving the brides, flies to a giant circle of brigands, and the stupidest sequence of the movie happens, which sure is saying something. The camera focuses on Ruthie as she's just standing there in the middle of a giant action sequence while a horrible cover of the song The Middle plays. Now, in fairness, I wouldn't say it's a horrible cover based on the talent of the singing. It's more that the tone doesn't fit this moment at all. Ruthie is insanely lucky not to die here countless times. Gigantic tanks and explosions are just barely missing her. And yet again, we have a circular camera motion while a song plays, focusing on a character who can't do anything as all the action happens around her. I've never seen that in a movie before. Ruthie goes to kill Krim. Kara again explains to her the problems with going for revenge. And now that Kara has completed her character arc of some sorts, she has more space to stand on, telling Ruthie how revenge will corrupt her and she can't do it and it won't give her what she wants and all this. Ruthie gives Kara a sword and Kara tells her to leave before she changes her mind. Kara then walks out and stabs Krim and kills him, saying that's for Ruthie's family and that's for my dog. You just spent the whole movie having Kara tell Ruthie revenge isn't going to get you what you want and will corrupt a good soul, and now that she has completed her alleged arc of remembering she's a good person, she cements that by killing Krim out of revenge for her dog and for Ruthie. That does not make any sense at all. You just completely contradicted this whole theme you've been trying to push the whole movie. The arc a character goes on is supposed to reinforce a theme. Maybe that's through showing that if you don't live up to what that theme is, dire consequences happen. For example, if Kara's arc led her to believe revenge is the correct way, despite telling Ruthie this whole time revenge is wrong, and then Kara kills Krim and dire consequences happen, maybe her dog dies, then that would justify this idea of her completing the arc reinforces this theme. The problem with what you did is that you just completely contradicted the whole theme of the movie. Somehow, you managed to remove the legs from the movie to stand on at all. Not to mention the amount of plot holes this creates. If Supergirl is fine with just killing Krim, why hasn't she just lasered his face off every time she's near him? Why has she not punched his stomach out? This is a massive problem when you have a character as powerful as Supergirl, or Superman for that matter, and they're just willing to kill their villains. As awful as the Man of Steel is, at the bare minimum, they make it clear Superman did not want to kill Zod and only did it as a last resort. Now, it's kind of ridiculous because of all the people he lets die, but whatever. In the movie, Krim is already defeated, and she just kills him, meaning she could have killed him at any other point. Why? Kara then gets the antidote and flies back to the planet immediately and heals her dog and invites Ruthie to finish celebrating her birthday. Kara flies back to Earth and tells Clark she's glad to be home. Then mercifully and thankfully, the movie ends. So what exactly was Kara's character journey in this movie? Well, she's a drunk who hates her life because her planet was destroyed. Okay, understandable. She's then forced to go after some pirates because they poisoned her dog. This goal happens to align with Ruthie, who wants revenge, but Kara constantly tells her revenge will destroy you. Upon doing that, she's almost killed by a green sun, which causes her to have flashbacks remembering her parents told her to be a good person, and Superman says that they're good guys and all that. At that moment, she, I guess, decides she's a good guy, puts on the suit that she hasn't worn all movie because the good guys do that, then kills Krim out of revenge. Her journey A has no actual path. She is cynical and drunk, then suddenly remembers she shouldn't be cynical and drunk and decides she's a good guy now. And B, it completely contradicts her whole messaging about revenge. Revenge is a bad thing unless you're 10 years older and your dog is almost dying, then it's okay. Now, as far as a character's arc developing because they suddenly remember something from their past, it doesn't necessarily have to be a bad thing. A lot of superhero movies do this. I think most iconically, Spider-Man. He remembers Uncle Ben tells him, with great power comes great responsibility. But Spider-Man has to go through a sequence of events, Uncle Ben dying, in, for example, the Tobey Maguire movies, when Spider-Man uses his power to make money. Ultimately, Uncle Ben dies because of some of these actions. Peter then realizes the message, with great power comes great responsibility, means that he should be Spider-Man. Peter makes poor decisions, ignoring actively those words that leads to dire consequences. In this movie, Kara always has known that her parents and Clark himself has said they're the good guys and they should do good. But Kara never actually has anything that should fundamentally change her opinion on that. The only thing that happens is she just chooses not to save some people, and then they die, and then she almost dies because she got trapped, and then decides she's a good guy again. It's a movie that tries to reinforce this idea that you're good just as you are and you don't need to change, which I think is kind of a terrible message in any form of movie, because no one's perfect, and even this movie admits that no one's perfect, and you don't need to be perfect, but you can always try to strive for self-improvement. I think that this is a lazy story to try to push that with. Kara's a drunk, and her drunkenness doesn't actually have any consequences. It doesn't matter if she was drunk or sober, Krypto would still get shot by the poison, and ultimately she would have to go get the antidote. It doesn't matter that she's drunk or sober, she chooses to let that family die, and then she has to go kill him, I guess. Nothing of her poor choices lead to any kind of consequence or any of that. The plot happens, and Kara also happens to have these negative effects. This film was written by someone whose only previous writing credit was a short film in 2018. Now, I would have told you this was most likely ghost-written by James Gunn, and it still might be, but to be honest, the script is far too amateurish for me to even believe that. It has an extremely basic structure and doesn't really try to subvert that too much, which can be fine. And to be honest, there's far too little potty humor and fake edginess to come from the childish mind of Gunn. Regardless of if he wrote it or ghost wrote it or ghost directed it or whatever, it's extremely clear his creative influence is all over it. Every action scene features a pop song, they do the camera spin, and Supergirl basically just acts like a much worse version of Peter Quill, Harcourt, and all other James Gunn characters. As far as the good to take away from this movie, I will say, regardless of how awful the writing in this movie was, I think Millie Alcock would make a great Supergirl. We've seen on the red carpet in the build-up, she has a very bubbly and outgoing personality, the kind you would want from Supergirl herself. I think if the movie, or a future movie, which would be insane if they make another Supergirl movie, but regardless, has a talented writer and they write a script, it'll at least be a better movie, and I think Millie Alcock would live up to the experience. As much as I didn't like Superman, and I don't like Peacemaker, and I honestly thought Creature Commandos was pretty bad too, the positive I can take away from almost all of James Gunn's movies that he's been the executive producer on is the casting has been very good. Frank Grillo's great. I think David Cornsweet really embodies the personality of Superman. The problem has been the scripts constantly, and that continues here with this movie. Anybody with a minuscule amount of brain power could have told you this movie was a massive mistake as your second film, and the box office through the first weekend has thoroughly reflected that. Blockbuster superhero movies are seemingly going by the wayside, a future that will only be supported by solo Batman and Spider-Man movies that will probably be made forever. Everything about this film, from the planning, the marketing, the writing, the execution, and the box office, are what contribute to Supergirl truly being a catastrophe of epic proportions. If you made it this far, feel free to comment down below and explain how wrong I am, leave a like, consider subscribing, and as always, thanks for watching.